therefore you need more infrastructure. But if you put more infrastructure, then you may end up at one stage having too much infrastructure, having stranded infrastructure.
The EU is looking at maximising the welfare state in gas. How can this be achieved?
Yes, I mean, remember, we are always talking about gas wholesale prices on your web TV, but the important for consumers at the end of the day is their gas bill. And infrastructure is making 50% of the final bill. So 50% is only wholesale, 50% is infrastructure. So the EU is looking at how to achieve the best infrastructure for the EU as a whole. And here you have a very interesting question. If you're putting too little infrastructure, you're going to end up with either a non-competitive market, some producer may have a market power, or you also may find yourself in a market where you're going to have a risk in terms of security of supply. So therefore you need more infrastructure. But if you put more infrastructure, then you may end up at one stage having too much infrastructure, having stranded infrastructure. So we have to balance this need of infrastructure. And also this is even more important in Europe because on top of this, we have a declining gas demand in the last 10 years, and this could continue.
Will the gas companies be affected by this proposed plan?
Well, so we came out with a plan, Karen Son and myself. Our idea was very simple, is to say, well, if we want a competitive market and we want one wholesale price in Europe, let's use the hub in the Netherlands, the TTF, and let's assume that everybody that wants to enter the market to sell gas in Europe enters this market with an entry fee. And everybody that uses gas at the end will use gas and will pay an exit fee, either a standard exit fee or an exit fee with some security of supply if they are a residential customer. So yes, in front of this very simple plan, transportation companies will be affected because the way they have their remuneration will have to be changed, and this will have to be looked all over at the European level and not at the national state. Very simply, what we are saying is if we want to be stronger together, we need to look at the infrastructure on a European level and not on a country-by-country level.
Now, what does this mean for Britain? Does it mean that Britain will be excluded from these proposed price reductions?
Well, I mean, it is, at the end of the day, it may lead to price reduction. What we try to find is a market that works better, and a market post-2020 where, as I was saying, I mean, gas demand may be still going down, and where we need to have the infrastructure that can match this demand going down, and that can match security of supply, and that can match a competitive market. Well, I mean, UK is going to go out of the EU, so that's back to the Brexit issue. I mean, when we design our proposal, what we offer to Brussels is something where the UK is excluded. I mean, that's up to the UK to see if they want to enter or not. But again, having the UK out will make our proposal even more resilient, because we are talking here more about a continental Europe, and so therefore it's going to be, I would say, easier to implement something where even if it's going to be very difficult, because you may have local national companies, transportation companies, that may not want to have a European view, and they may want to stay on a local level. But again, what we are saying is if we want to implement this EU welfare thing, we have to look at it as the EU general interest, and this is, we think, far above the sum of the respective transportation companies.
Well, thank you, Thierry, for speaking to us all the way from Paris, France.
Thank you. Bye.
And thank you at home for watching. Don't forget you can get more Skype interviews just like this. Goodbye for now.